I wanted to show you what's in my bag. This is my preschool bag that I use every day. And it is the end of the school year. So this bag has gone a little bit berserk. It doesn't look anything like what it looked like at the start of the school year. It was so nice and neat and organized. Had all kinds of little pockets and things just perfectly in their place. Didn't have nearly as much stuff in it. It's kind of accumulated items over weeks and weeks of activities. And the kind of bag it is, it's a 31 bag. I'm sure a lot of you recognize these bags. They go to all kinds of wonderful pockets. I have tried using the next size up, but I found that whatever size bag I have, I fill it up. So I got to such a point where I couldn't even carry that other bag when I went to the next size up. So I keep it as controlled as possible by keeping it at this size bag. And let's start and see what is in the front pockets here. Pocket one, a nice little twist and write pencil. This is great for kids that are really struggling with grip and learning that tripod grasp. Put your finger right in there and it gives you a perfect little tripod grasp. Let's see what else. Oh, this little guy. This is a little tool that I use to work on finger isolation. It's kind of like its own little finger puppet. Got some wiggly eyes going on there. I like him a lot. Let's see. Some of these things are going to be surprise to me too. Like I said, this bag's really accumulated items over the last year. Oh, there we got some alphabet letters. I put these under squishy bags. We can trace them with our fingers, trace them with a Q-tip. Oh, some Sani hand wipes. These I use on kids' hands, or most often I use them actually on my toys to clean them in between uses. Of course, I usually have some hand sanitizer with me. It's not in the bag. I keep that in my car. What else? We have the side pockets. You got some glues. Of course, got some nice Elmer's and glue stick. I always have these in my bag, just different little pencil grips, and they're in a couple of places, I'm sure. More adhesive, so I get my Scotch tape there. Pens. Goodness. Who knows what's in this side pocket? It just has all kinds of little stuff that's been thrown in there. A little rubber band. So that kind of takes care of all the little pockets. Let's see. Yeah. And usually there'll be some pencils in here, some markers, whatever I'm using at the time, but today there's not any in there. Here I have some markers. These are the scented Mr. Sketch markers, and this container, I love saving containers like this. I'm sure most of you have these in your kitchen. This is a salsa container, but I like the little rice containers or anything like that. I'll keep those to hold crayons, markers, little toys, anything that I want to keep separate. It's a nice little thing because the kids can also reach into this and just get what they want. So it's a nice little container. I'll set that over here, my pretty markers. Oh, that smelled good when I opened it. Couple of pencil bags. Now these started out with me at the start of the year, but of course, this is gonna be like opening Pandora's box at this point. It's got lots of stuff inside. This is one that actually holds pencils and crayons. And I've got a little baggie of crayons in there. I have found that because I leave my bag in the car a lot, the heat gets to the crayons. So I'm real careful about, first of all, I try not to leave it in the car if I remember to bring it out. Some days it's unavoidable, but I'll keep the crayons separate and usually kind of sealed up. I have used these kinds of containers for them before. I have some in those containers, but they tend to melt and warp. So these ones I just keep in my pencil bag. Here we have a little, the last thing I used this for was a little Hungry Caterpillar. You can find that on OT Joy, the Hungry Caterpillar craft. And my hole punch was used for the caterpillar to eat some of the leaf. So there's a hole punch there. I have regular pencils, just standard old sharpened school size pencils, number 2s. Oh, I've got another one of my little eye guys, okay. And I also have some fat, what I call kindergarten pencils. They're just a little bit thicker, and they still are number 2 pencils, but they just give you a little bit more to hold on to. I have pens for my use. Here's a nice little spacing tool that you can use when kids are really struggling with making spaces between their letters. I have short pencils and short pens in here for those kiddos that are really struggling with their grip to promote a tripod grasp. And I keep highlighters, usually an orange highlighter and a yellow highlighter. I use those a lot, both to teach letter formation, because I will write the letter and then they'll trace over top, or I use it to bring focus to something that I want them to pay attention to. A lot of times I will highlight the baseline when I'm working with kids who are learning to put their letters on the line, and we'll highlight that so it gives them a little extra visual cue to put their letters on the line. Here is one of my favorite pencils. This is actually a mechanical pencil. Hold on, if I can just pull it out here. This is a mechanical pencil, but it's not a thin lead. The lead is actually pretty hefty. It takes quite a bit to break it. And it has a triangular shape. I don't know if you can see that there. So that it's a little easier to hold on to. This is better for those kiddos that are learning. And this one's just fun because it's got a Frozen character on them. But I've also seen them with various superheroes. I bought these at the Five Below store. So they're cheap. They come in a pack of several. And I thought I saw one more thing, in here that I wanted to bring your attention to, Sharpies. I use Sharpies a lot to make a nice bold line when kids are learning to cut, or with my students who have low vision, I especially would use a red Sharpie or a green Sharpie just to highlight something that I really want them to be able to see better. So let's put that off to the side here. Bag number 2, this is my scissor bag. So inside the scissor bag, all sorts of options for scissors. I have some self-opening scissors, just require a squeeze to operate. Regular kid-size hand scissors. These ones I found in an old bag. Now, to be honest, I have not successfully used these, but I like the idea of them. They have holes for the helper and then holes for the child. So you can do hand over hand with those really easily. And I also keep in my bag, now this may change seasonally, but sometimes it might be little Easter eggs, or it might be, I don't know, whatever, a little flower or something like that. But right now I just have 3x5 cards in here with some various shapes for kids to cut. And you'd be surprised how engaged kids are. They actually really enjoy mastering this skill of cutting and just practicing. I have kids that, give me another card, Miss Joy, and they really just want to keep practicing. I usually have to put a little limit on it. Here's one more, these aren't the ones I'm looking for. You can buy really inexpensive, here they are. Real inexpensive self-opening scissors where you just turn down the little thing and then they pop back open. And then when they mature enough to be using the scissors without that, you can just push that back and they become regular standard kid-size scissors. I like those. You can buy those at Walmart. They're nice and cheap. You can get those lots of different places. So let's put that off to the side as well. Now we get to the good stuff. All right, let's see what else is in my bag. I have squishy bags. Squishy bags, you'll find a couple of posts on OT Joy about squishy bags. They have all kinds of purposes. I have an array, nice whole rainbow of squishy bags. And some of them are just plain, like this one I used to put over top of the letters so that they could trace the letters with their fingers. You'll also see squishy bags here that already have some beaded letters in it. This one has dinosaurs in it, so you can move the dinosaurs around. You can divide them and move them by colors or by matching them. So squishy bags also are just darn fun to squish. So those are fun. To go with my squishy bags, I always carry a little container of Q-tips. You can use your fingertip on the squishy bags, but kind of the next step is learning how to hold and use a pencil, and these Q-tips really help. They're so thin that I have never seen a kid palm them. you almost can't hold on to them in a palm or grasp. So they tend to use a fingertip grasp to hold on to them. So that is to go with my squishy bags. One more texture bag I carry in here. And really, this is just for fun. This has got some colored sugar in it. And again, you can use your finger to write things in here, but you can also just feel the texture without making a big mess. I travel from site to site to site, and so I need to be aware of things that are portable, things that aren't going to make a big mess. And so I try to, you know, the sand would be nice just as a sandbox, but that is really messy, so I try not to do that. These were used in a craft project we just did, but I always carry pom-poms. One of the things I've been using pom-poms for, I have some kids that are working on reach and grasp. They love being able to really just grab that pom-pom, especially these big ones, and hold on to them. And they feel good and they squish and they're soft. And then once they get them, I kind of use them and I'll rub one up and down the arm or on the cheek for some extra incentive and some extra sensory input. Here are a couple. I'm just going to bring out a couple of fun toys that we've been playing with lately. Some of these might look familiar to you, some not. You'll see I'm putting a couple of things back here that are just, I don't even know where they came from or how they got in my bag, but they're just fun. So here are a few things. All right, so here we work on bilateral coordination, work on dexterity, rotation of the forearm, just taking these off and on. I have some kids, I swear they could do this for hours. I don't see the draw in it, but kids love this. And it is hard work, and they really have to focus and work and get those on and off. I'll put those over here. These I got out of a vending machine, one of my favorite sources for therapy toys. And this is to focus on pinch, tip pinch, and they just get that little feedback. The tongue is kind of like a little bit sticky almost. It's just fun. This guy's making a horrible face, and his little friend is actually smiling with her tongue out there too. And here, I love these little guys. I also got these from a vending machine. I am like the vending machine queen. I'm always on the lookout for things. I think these cost me 75 cents a piece. And of course, with these, you're looking for finger isolation. Put those little finger puppets on, and you can move that little finger. If I really want to work on thumb rotation, I can do that. Get them moving back and forth and playing. Can also work on bilateral coordination, put one on each hand, and really just make those kids have a conversation, make their puppets talk back and forth. So we'll put those over here. Goodness, I am running out of space here, folks. All right. Oh, one of my favorite things, paint sticks. They're also, the Crayola has a line called Slick Sticks. The same thing. They're kind of like colorful, updated grease pencils. That's how they write. They glide on nice and smooth. In the post that's going out today, you'll see these advertised, not advertised, but listed as one of the things to use if your child is struggling with light pencil pressure, because you really don't have to put any pressure on, and you see a nice, bright, clear line develop. So they get that visual feedback without putting that pressure on, and eventually we'll teach them to put more and more pressure on, but at least gets them interested in drawing and coloring. If you're doing something and you're not seeing results, you stop, right? Kids are the same way. So this gives them the results that they're craving, even if they're not putting enough pressure down. They can see that they are making marks and that they're coloring, and my preschoolers go nuts over these. They are just constantly using these. Okay, I have some preschool boys and some kindergarten boys and some school age boys that love sports. So I often will use these as an incentive. Okay, this might be hard to see, so I'm gonna take them out of the bag. So you've got bag after bag after bag. This one is a little soccer game. Of course, I gotta know my sports here. And the little feet go on, and the little goalie goes back and forth. I love this one because you really have to have a lot of dexterity to kick the ball with your fingers. this game sets up as a full little basketball game where you have to press down and the flings the basketball. But the thing I like about this is it comes in, let's see how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And I will set this out and they have to figure out how to put it together. It's a great motor planning task. Here are the pieces. Let's figure out how to make this end product. How can you make a basketball thing for them? I have some kids who just fly through this, and others, they need a little help. Well, what piece do you think could go on next? Well, where do you think that might be? Some instructions, some direction, some leading questions to help them through the sequencing of each action. And then in the end, they have to use their hand and eye coordination, their visual motor skills to get those balls up into the basket. They also isolate their finger. They have to figure out how much pressure to put on the catapult to get those baskets up in there. So this is really, some of my preschools I would never pull this out with because they're just not ready for it. And some of them, they're advanced and they can get this. So, you know, depending on the level of your child, this goes without saying, I think, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Some of these things have small objects, like this one has really small basketballs. They are choking hazards. Never let your kids play with the choking hazards. If they are prone to put things in their mouths, don't let them play with this unsupervised. All right, I feel like, you know, little side note that must be said sometimes. Here, I'm not even going to show you the bag for this. I'm so embarrassed at how tattered this bag is. You can tell, oh right, I'll show you the bag. It's horrible, it's all tattered. It's been used so much, and this guy, he's going to be replaced now if the school year's over. I'm going to have to make a new one. I'm sure you've seen this. Little tennis ball man. My tennis ball man, he has been eating donuts. And these little donuts, again, I got out of a vending machine. I told you people, I am like the vending machine queen. I am always on the lookout for things with it in the vending machines that are therapeutic toys. So basically you just squeeze and his mouth opens. You use a tip pinch and you put the donut in. These donuts I've used for a lot of other things too. Maybe I will make a post about that. And I will probably make a post about how to make these guys. Honestly, it's pretty straightforward. You just cut a mouth, draw on some eyes or glue on some eyes. I tried gluing eyes on him and they kept popping off, so I just drew on some generic eyes. The kids, honestly, they could care less. They just think he's adorable. They want to play with him. You want to alternate hands. So he is fun to work on. You're working on hand strength, or you're working on tip pinch. You're working on bilateral coordination because the hands have to come together. Sometimes I'll set it up so you have to cross midline also. So there's another guy. We'll put him up there. He's going to be looking at you there. Play-Doh. Always have to have a little bit of Play-Doh. And in my bag right now, I am carrying a little kit, which always gets slammed to the bottom. And it's 2 little things of Play-Doh, which actually have stayed nice and moist all year. They're just about ready to be replaced. And these little hair guys. Now, I was just at this, I think it was Big Lots, like one of the stores where you can get things dirt cheap, and they had this set there. So these sets are still there, out and about somewhere, made by Play-Doh. You put the Play-Doh in, squeeze it down, and then he's got hair. So when we're working on cutting then, I teach them how to hold in one hand and snip, snip, snip. And if they're really struggling with that, then we just have some feedback and they get to razor the hair off and start over again. So there's a lot of options for that. I've never found a kid who didn't just absolutely love playing with this, and we're willing to work on those cutting skills. Play-Doh's a great thing for cutting skills. You make snakes and cut them all day long and do that. Speaking of Play-Doh, I always have a couple of Play-Doh mats. This time I have numbers, but we roll out the Play-Doh, place it on, and then I'll have them go over with their finger and trace the Play-Doh. If it's an older kid who is ready to work on their writing skills, then we might go down and we'll use our dry erase markers, which were in that pencil bag, by the way, to just trace and then draw some of the numbers. I'm going to put this up here. Some more little finger toys. I always have some generic craft things. So I always have some sticks there. Oh, something that's not in my bag. Oh, there are a couple. Some paper plates. These are really sad paper plates. I've already used them up. Always some construction paper. Also very sad at this point. Hardly any construction paper at all, and it's all faded and old, but you know what? It still works. So that's in there. Oh, there's some more paper plates. So just some generic craft things. I'm sure somewhere in the bottom here, there's a little thing of beads. I always have little pieces of tissue paper, usually several colors. This is a great thing for crossing midline. I'll always put the tissue paper opposite the dominant hand and then encourage that student to reach across every time they pick up a piece of tissue paper to glue it onto whatever project we're doing. So tissue paper crafts, I've done everything from cars to birds to rainbows. You can really do anything with those little tissue paper squares. They cost like nothing and they go a long way, so I use those. This is something that I use with some of my older kids. Some little finger skateboards. So they're working on finger isolation and they have to move these things. But one of the things I have done with these, again, is a motor planning task. I will give them several things. I might even just pick a few items, you know, from the group of whatever I have in my bag, who knows what. And I will say to them, make an obstacle course for your skateboard. Your skateboard might want to jump. It might want to go around. It might want to go under. And they have to, first of all, think what they're going to do. So they have to use their executive functioning to really problem solve. And then they have to decide how to start that, how to sequence it, and how to finish it. So there is a great motor planning task right there with really anything you have in your bag. You can even have them, you know, walking through it with their fingers if you don't have my little skateboards or whatever you want to use. So I'll put those to the side. Wow, this bag did not look that big, and now that I've gotten into it, there is really so much in here. I always have some beads and some pipe cleaners because, you know, it's a great little fine motor task. And we can, you know, a lot of kids are motivated by doing something for mom, doing something for grandma. And I'll say, let's make a little bracelet for mom and we'll put some beads on our pipe cleaners. And, you know, if it's a girl, sometimes they like to make a bracelet for themselves. So we'll do that. Then here's some of my favorite little crayons. I bought these, geez, 2 years ago. And they are crayon rocks. The nice thing about them is there is no way you can put this in your palm and still write. You'd have to have the littlest hands in the world. So it forces a tripod grasp. And they come in such beautiful colors. They're not just the typical red, yellow, blue, but they really come in these gorgeous hues, these blues and greens and earth tones. So I love, love, love my crayon rocks. I think I like to color with these sometimes more than my kids do because they get a little frustrated that they have to hold them with their fingertips when some of them just struggle with that. They just feel like it's not what they want to do. Oh, some more. Oh goodness, I'm finding all kinds of fun things in here. And as I said, I have some pencil grasp all the time. This one had fallen to the bottom of the bag. This is what is it called? Start Right. I like this one because it's a little harder to get up and above. It's a lot to put your hand around. So, but I have found with preschoolers, I don't introduce pencil grasp. I'm sure this is controversial. Lots of people have their feelings about pencil grips. For me, they don't really work so well for preschoolers. I feel like preschoolers are just gonna do what they're gonna do. I'd rather develop their hand muscles, get some hand dexterity, get some separation, motor separation of the hand going, do some things like holding something in the palm so that they're using their fingers more than I would go to this to start. These are more like the second stage, like if I'm really, really not getting a kid to use their fingertips, and they continue to struggle, I might use this, or the twist and right, or that plain little one. And there's so many others on the market. I do have a few others that I use for my school age kids, but that's generally what we're looking at. The rest of the stuff in this bag, more construction paper, some writing paper, which I don't really use for my preschoolers, but once in a while I have a chance. Here was a writing sample. This is an almost kindergartner, and this was the back a few months ago. He's really come a long way now. He's writing great now. His pressure is a little bit light. His motor control is a little off. But this is when we first started doing a mixed case, because I knew he was getting ready for kindergarten and we wanted to work on that. And we worked on some lines down, just bumping that baseline. We worked on keeping our letters inside the boxes to work on size and all of that. And of course I have the dots for where to start the letters. And he has really flourished. Jack, my little guy Jackson, he's doing so well. He is so ready for kindergarten. I'm so proud of him. He's doing great. I also have in here, oh wow, okay, this is a Valentine's Day handout, and it is May, but there's a bunch of other handouts in my bag. I try to send home handouts. Every session that I work with students, I try to send home a handout. To be honest, I'm not as consistent as I need to be. You know, us OTs, we're human too, so we have lots of time constraints, but I try to send home things that parents can continue to work on at home, because I only get them for 30 minutes a week. And then they're all yours, Mom and Dad. So, you know, that's a great thing. Okay, here is one thing I'll share with you. This was the handout that I just did for summer called Animal Walks. And it is summer, so you all can do these too. But there's a little, you go inside and there's a frog jump. Squat down with your hands, do a bear walk, a turtle swim. So there's, you know, there's just some fun things. I try to do some handouts for my parents every time. I think that just about does it. Believe me, there are some things in the bottom here I'm just not going to show you, but oh, there's a little flashlight. We will occasionally use a flashlight, especially for my low vision students. Some glitter glue, just some pretty things up. I still have something from Halloween in here. There's a little spider ring. We use those spiders for some fine motor activities back at Halloween time. You'll see it's all the way in May, and that never made it out of the bottom of my bag. So there's the OT bag. I hope that some of this has helped you to know what's in the bag, why we use it, some ideas. Maybe you really liked these little googly eye guys because your students working on finger isolation, or maybe you really liked the crayon rocks to help work on that mature tripod grasp. If you have any questions about anything, you can go ahead and leave a comment. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, or anything that you have in your bag that you think is just the best thing ever. Please share. My blog is for OTs, parents, teachers, and so I think lots of people could benefit from those things that you have to say. I encourage your comments and look forward to hearing from you. And of course, keep visiting otjoy.com. I can't wait to continue on this adventure and journey with you. Have a great day.